The Treasury Department records that contain sensitive personal data like Social Security numbers and bank accounts for millions of Americans. A judge also blocked President Trump from placing thousands of those U.S. aid workers on leave and giving them a 30-day deadline. I guess who knows what's going to happen to Elon Musk when he starts to shift his focus to the Labor Department and the Social Security Administration. Thank you so much. This is Sidebar, and if you have not listened to us before, you will be hearing the opinions and commentary from our two guys, former Bexar County DA Nico Jorge, trial lawyer, managing partner of LaHood Norton Law Group, and Georgia Rougeau, scholar, former chemist, and pharmaceutical researcher and director. So Elon Musk continues his efforts to clean up waste and fraud in the government. And I keep on trying to figure out, why is this a bad thing? And why are the Democrats becoming more and more unhinged?
It seems that way. Look, I mean, Trump ran on this. So it's, promises made, promises kept type mindset. I mean, the American people as a whole want this to happen. I mean, as a whole. I mean, I get that there's people that are holding off on it. But I thought it was interesting this week, just the visceral response, the overreaction. It seemed like to me, I mean, the anger and, I mean, take it to the streets. Talk about violent language, like we always say, if the left is bitching about something, it's because they're doing it. And so them saying that Trump did this and the right does this and Republicans do this, and then you just look at their language and what they're asking people to do and what they're yelling about. And what are they worried about is my point. I mean, when you look at, I guess, I don't know if you want to talk about U.S. aid or whatever.
Yes.
I mean, it was initially designed to advance the U.S. interest globally through what I've understood it to be is through soft power, meaning spending money around the world to get influence. I mean, it was to combat communism, and I think it was George JFK started it, right? And so it's been around for a long time. Obviously, it's morphed into something very different. I mean, of course, there's humanitarian benefits to it. But I mean, when you think about the money, and I lost track of all the different commentators out there that were giving the list of monies that was spent on it. But all of them, not all of them, a lot of them were just ridiculous. I mean, you can just go through a list of, transgender issues over here and condoms and we're here and over here and drag queen hour over here. And just this leftist progressive movements that was not the initiative of USAID. And then him wanting to cut that down and just look into their books. I don't understand what they're reacting to an audit. That's all they're saying. Let's audit this and see where the money's going. Let's expose it. That's a word, expose, bring it to the light, and then see where everything's at. And I heard one person say, and in my world, this made sense to me. The analogy was, you have $1,000 cash on your table. Maybe you were at your house and maybe you were saving it up or something. You have 3 people in the house. You come back out of your room, cash is gone. You look to Fulano. Hey, Fulano, empty your pockets. Yeah, sure. Here, empty my pockets. I didn't take it. No problem. Hey, Susie, empty your pockets. Yeah. Freddie, empty your pockets. No, I'm not going to empty my pockets. Wait. I'm offended. Why would you do that for? And what are you talking about? I had $1,000 on the table. Wow. Well, then you guess you knew who took the money. I mean, Freddie took the money. Fulano and Susie are good. But all I'm saying is this is that comes to my mind when I heard that example. It really hit home to me. So what are you upset about? And then you hear all the stuff about the Clinton Foundation and Chelsea Clinton and this. I don't know what's true or not true yet, but we should know, as the American taxpayer should know, that's American taxpayer money. And so we should know where it goes. And so if they keep doing this, they have not learned a damn thing from the election. And I don't know how this is a winning strategy in 2 years and how they get back their footing.
Our former DA is being very generous. He said if.
It's the only way my mind works.
He's so measured. I'm going to jump the gun here, Nico, and say they have not learned anything. And I think it's because it really is an act of desperation. I think we've learned something that we already suspected. And this is, I love the way you said that. Trump ran on this. And I guess I'm just maybe we should just sort of do a waiting party. Let's hold a waiting party for that moment when the Democrats actually realize that the American people voted for this. At some point, it'll dawn on them. But this is exactly what Trump ran on. Trump learned something very painfully in his first administration, and that is that it wasn't about Democrat resistance. It wasn't even about Republican fecklessness and the fact that, this, by the way, this notion, he learned about the uniparty. You've heard that term, the uniparty? The uniparty isn't the idea that Republicans and Democrats come together ideologically. It's that Democrats have an ideology they push, and the Republicans just kind of sit idly by. It's where the Republicans enable this, and so they might as well become Democrats. Trump learned about that in his first administration, but he also learned the painful lesson that the Democrats and Republicans are actually not in charge. Mm-hmm. That's what he learned. He learned about the fourth branch of government that everyone talks about, the deep state. Remember, this has evolved. Remember, it went from the deep state. There's no such thing as the deep state. And then it became, well, the deep state might exist, but it's not that bad. Now it's the deep state doesn't exist at all again. And now it says, oh, the deep state's great. And so it's just a sort of whiplash movement on the deep state. And here we have everything we've suspected was going on behind the scenes, where you have this regulatory framework that basically makes the decisions on what gets implemented. And if it's a left-wing administration, everything gets implemented on steroids. If it is a conservative administration, you have nothing but impediments and nothing but bureaucratic slush pushing back on it. And now we've learned everything we've suspected, and we've also learned how it's getting funded. And this has been beautiful. I've enjoyed this past week. I've actually had a wonderful time. I think every American should feel validated in their vote. People have known, Nico, at a gut level, something's not right. And here we are. This has been a wonderful accounting. Good. And I've said from the very beginning, I think the Department of Government Efficiency is quite possibly the most important organization inside the federal government today. I believe it with my whole heart.
George, I can't disagree with anything you said, and sometimes I look for stuff to disagree with, but I can't. I mean, it's this entrenched bureaucracy. That's what I mean. This fourth branch of government it's entrenched. Like, it doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, great, we're still in control. I mean, and when the whole deep state phrase came out years ago, I was like, oh God, here's another hyperbolic statement. Yes, the boogeyman's there, and both sides use a boogeyman. I mean, in all fairness, but I was like, okay, whatever. And then you start realizing, holy crap, who's really in charge here? Who's running the show? Precisely. What's going on? What agency? What letter agency? Who pulls their string? Because maybe I'm an idealist, which I am. I believe in a country of the people, by the people, for the people, and that's why we have a constitutional republic. I mean, we have representative government that the people in charge should represent what we want, and these people, this really unhinged. I mean, I'm trying to think of the word. It's like an autoimmune response to Elon Musk, whom they used to love, by the way. I mean, because they love you if you're on their side.
I couldn't believe that there was somebody that they were going to hate equal to Trump, and they have found somebody now.
They call him a racist. They call him this. They call him a not.
He's taking over the presidency.
And you're bringing your South African. I mean, it's just such hyperbolic and over-the-top language. And then yelling. And then Schumer looked like a dumbass, just yelling, "Hey, well, that." I mean, his voice irritates the crap out of me. And then his posture. And then he changed up the chant right in the middle of the chant. We want to. And it's like nobody's like, "What the hell? Look, what are you doing, dude?" And everyone's looking at him. It was embarrassing. Everybody ragged on him, which they should have. It's like, this is how
even Jon Stewart. Did you see Jon Stewart?
Someone
Jon
sent me that.
Stewart made a comment, and he's making fun of the whole Democrat Party. And then they showed those videos on CNN. Even the CNN panel stopped for a second, and they're like, "What was that?
What do you do?"
I know.
I mean, someone sent me that Jon Stewart, with that blank look he has, like, please stop.
Yeah.
I mean, that's at least an honest assessment of where you're at, and they can't get their footing. It's embarrassing. I get it makes themselves feel good, but the Democrats that are going to survive in 2 years are the ones that are going to separate themselves, like the Fettermans of the world, and they're going to say, look, let's work with this administration. Let's hear what the people, how can we be part of it, and then let's make something different. Bring some solutions to the table. And because I'm going to say, if someone's bitching about something, it's okay to do that. At a point, how you do it matters to me, but it's okay to complain about something, but bring a solution to the table. I mean, if you're just a clang and drums or some tambourines, you smashing things around, it just doesn't do any good. So I agree with you, George. This is eye-opening. I really want to see where all this money is going. I mean, and look, there's even some claims that they're funding Soros-backed DAs, and if money funnels, and follow the money when you talk about a forensic audit.
Well, that's absolutely true. It's just that it's indirectly done. So
right.
This is truly a Hydra effect. I mean, it's very networked, and it's almost impossible to track. And finally, we have scrutiny. And good for Elon Musk. He has brought in, Salo, this may be of interest to you, because it's been fascinating to me. How in the world are they finding this so quickly? Because this is purposely complex so that you can't find it quickly.
Yeah.
There's a reason why this hasn't been done before. And so Musk comes in. He's got a superpower, really. I mean, this is almost like a new team of Avengers. These guys are using machine learning and AI to vet through mountains of information. And it literally is like drinking from a fire hose every other day. And so this is how it's being done. I actually had an opportunity, I won't belabor you with it, but I had an opportunity to go through the team and see who's on that team.
Oh, good. I cannot
It's
wait. I love
unbelievable.
Are you going to talk about Mr. Big Balls?
We'll do that some other time. But
I knew somebody was going to say it. I was going to try to say it first, but
Oh, sorry, Karen.
people
No,
can
I'm
look
just
that
kidding.
up. Please Google who's on Elon Musk's team. It's an impressive group of young people. I mean, there's 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds.
a 19-year-old, too.
It's pretty fascinating.
crazy.
And have you heard the
Right.
rumors for the Super Bowl? Well, there's rumors. You know, the conspiracy theories are awesome lately. But apparently, Elon Musk, with his own money, he's buying ads for the Super Bowl.
Okay, we got to talk about that. There's too much. My head is exploding.
That's
This
funny.
is Sidebar. Remember, sidebartv.com. That's where you're going to go to find a social media platform so you can watch as well as listen. And then join us for the after show. We will be right back.
With reputations as respected high-level prosecutors in Bexar County, the attorneys of LaHood Norton Law Group bring invaluable practical knowledge from the other side of the aisle, using over 70 years of combined experience to strategically advocate clients' rights and pursue the best possible outcome.
I'm Nico LaHood with LaHood Norton Law Group. Have you been arrested or accused of a crime? The LaHood Norton Law Group has the knowledge to defend you regardless of how small or large your case. In Bexar County, anywhere in the state, or even nationwide, we have the knowledge to defend you in federal or state court, no matter how small or large your case. We are trial lawyers with proven success.
Using their 70 years of combined experience to strategically advocate for their clients' rights and pursue the best possible outcome. The LaHood Norton Law Group. For a free consultation, call today, 210-797-7700. 210-797-7700. LaHoodNorton.com.
This is Nico LaHood. If you or a loved one has been arrested or accused of a crime, we can help.
LaHoodNorton.com.
1200 WOAI. I said it now, and I say it again and again. Go to sidebartv.com because not only will you be able to find the social media platform that you can watch the after show on, but you can also become a contributor. We really need your help. It's sidebartv.com. The fun has just begun.
I just want to know, was that Super Freak, Kirk? I know you can't play music anymore, but no, it wasn't. All right.
It sounded like it. It was
Sounded
the
like it, right?
generic
The
Super
generic
Freak.
Super Freak.
It did
This
sound
whole
like
office is.
They ordered it from Temu.
You know, we're talking about Doge, and I was thinking, did we really pay for a wedding? Did we really pay for a presidential campaign race? Did we really pay for tourism?
This appears, and I want.
Yes.
I'm going to be tempered, you know that, but this appears to be an old school money laundering operation. I mean, this is how the mob used to do it. This is when we used to come in white collar cases, whether it's federal or state, and you do forensic auditing, you trace, and you rent out an office building and you pay exorbitant rent, and you're really not. You're just trying to funnel money to the person because they're doing something, they're kickbacking something to you. It's like a kickback scheme. I mean, this is what they're portraying it as, and it seems like it's heading in that direction. It should be investigated.
But on
and this
social-
has nothing to do with revenge. This has to do with holding people accountable.
But on social media, people with a serious face they're making fun of the whole thing. Like one girl was going, I was studying the lemurs in Madagascar, and I was this close to finding out after 8 years, as if her project was being funded by U.S. aid. But it's kind of really not that funny. It's funny now, but the Democrats continue to say, this is wrong.
So
What?
not one Democrat is defending the spending. I'm waiting for it.
Okay,
I'm waiting for
okay,
a Democrat
wait.
to defend the spending.
Yeah.
Give me the line item that you're defending. I want to hear about the drag queen show, hear about that little whatever is going to be extinct somewhere. Let me hear about you funding something to ISIS because ISIS would get it. Did you see that picture going around where there's ISIS terrorists with U.S. aid in the background picture of the whatever in the tent?
Giving Hamas the cement to build the tunnels.
I mean, but
There's a reason for that.
well, this is my point. I mean, none of them are defending the spending. And we need to look at the spending and see where this money is going. This is American, and it's gotten so far away. It's gotten so far away from its initial intent. Everything has to be. How is this what this spending is to advance U.S. interests globally? That's it. It was supposed to. We didn't want to put troops on the ground. We wanted to advance the U.S. interest. how are these spends that way? And if it's gone to Chelsea Clinton or whomever it is, I mean, these NGOs are all over this thing. These non-governmental organizations, and they argued that they are straw people to where this money going. I want to know whose pockets this money is going into. This is American dollars, tax dollars, our tax dollars. And so, look, I love this. And I heard of something because someone said, "Oh, Elon's trying to benefit himself," and this is a coup. How is this a coup? What is the coup? This is
I don't get it.
This was made by an executive order. It can be stopped by an executive order, and they can fight that out in the court. That's the legal argument, by the way. This is Congress can act if they want to at some point. But Elon Musk said something. He's like, "Look, I don't want any benefit from this. There should be no benefits to EV cars." I mean, does anyone really think that Elon, he's some master Lex Luthor mastermind?
He doesn't want to be the president.
I mean, look, and I
Trump
love
has
how
spoken against electric cars.
and that's what I'm saying. This, look, I love it because when they try to go Trump, and this is a different Trump. Look, you don't have to like Trump, and I've constructively criticized him in the past when I thought was appropriate, whether you agreed or not. But when they try to bait him in, when he's sitting there real calm, he's like, what do you think about Time Magazine with that picture with Elon Musk? And he's like, oh,
They're
is
still
Time
in
Magazine
business.
still in business?
I love that.
That was a great response.
The political one? You see the political one?
Oh my God!
I enjoy your breakfast.
Look, I mean, Trump. That was exactly the response he should have done. He's like Elon's, and then he said Elon's doing a great job. And he's like, will he answer questions? He's not shy of opinions. Of course he will. I mean, it was just look. Trump
ever disagree with
By
him?
the way, let me get back to work.
Of course I
It's
do.
Trump is doing so many things that I don't even know what to criticize. I heard somebody commentate that they can't even keep up with what he's doing. This is the third week. This is the third week. He's done more interviews, and I'm not sure. I didn't count them because I don't know if Biden ever did interviews, but arguably he's done more interviews.
When does he ever
in
stop the
2.5
interviews?
weeks
Right.
that Biden did the whole time he was in office.
That's right. And so he's doing the two jobs of really two presidencies here. He's got to undo the previous debacle, and then he's got to basically clear the path of obstruction, because that's what the last 4 years were. It was a doubling down on obstructive measures to get anything done in favor of the country. I mean, the country really took a broadside missile. By every objective measure, I mean, economically, certainly from a national security perspective, and certainly from a foreign policy perspective, by every objective measure, the United States, I think, was on very, very thin ice. And so Trump has to undo before he can do. But remember, right after the election, right after the November 5th election, we were sitting here, there was at least on this show, there's a cautious optimism. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, okay, yay, he won, everybody's celebrating.
Yeah, now what?
And I've always been skeptical because of this issue. You guys remember we were having a conversation about it. I've always been very, very skeptical because what the hell is the point if he doesn't go after the regulatory state? There is a firewall against the implementation of his agenda. It'll never make it out the other end. And you and I, Nico, were beating this issue around a year before when we were talking about Texas, for instance. We were talking about similar dynamics here in the House. In the Texas House, how we consistently elect conservative leaders, but you have conservative agendas that never see the light of day. And it's either because of a regulatory framework or because of this uniparty mindset. And so this just gets really, really old. And for the voters to come out the way that they did after Trump took a barrage of insults and resistances for years, for Trump to emerge the way he did, the voters clearly came out and said, enough already. 2 weeks after Trump wins, Vivek, because at that time it was going to be Vivek and Elon as part of Doge. Vivek has moved on to run for governor in Ohio. But they wrote a piece, and I think everyone should read it. Elon Musk is following it to a T. In the Wall Street Journal on November 20th, they wrote a piece, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, the Doge plan to reform government. Everything that Elon is doing is in there. And they begin by explaining the problem. They explain that our nation was founded on the basic idea that the people we elect run the government. That isn't how America functions today. Yep. Most legal edicts aren't laws enacted by Congress, but rules and regulations promulgated by unelected bureaucrats, tens of thousands of them each year. Most government enforcement decisions and discretionary expenditures aren't even made by the democratically elected president or even his political appointees, but by millions of unelected, unappointed civil servants within government agencies who view themselves as immune from firing thanks to civil service protections. And on and on and on they go. And then they talk about systematically where they plan on on focusing their efforts. And Scott Jennings brought that up on CNN. He did, and he says, I was just asking Nico rhetorically, the way he asked, why would the Democrats, Nico, knowing that the American vote overwhelmingly voted for this type of reform, why would the Democrats right now fall on the sword over an issue that has less than 20% approval?
I don't know.
And why are they surprised that he's following through on what he said he was going to do?
So this is digging straight into the administrative state. So when you understand the way the government is set up and the constitutional republic, we were not designed. Our founding fathers did not design this country to be run by unelected bureaucrats, people that were appointed. They can't be held accountable. They can't be fired by the American people. That if they know the right person, do the right things, they can be held. And then they're creating laws, and then they're enforcing laws, and it didn't go through Congress, and it wasn't approved by the executive branch, right? So that circumvents the way the system is set up. So the growth of the administrative state is strangling this constitutional republic. And so what Trump is doing on this is he's going right in there with a heat-seeking missile, and he's blowing this whole thing up. This goes back to the point of why his appointments are so important, and why he chose a bunch of disruptors, and why it seems like someone said this before. I don't know if I was talking to Patrick or somebody, the Kavanaugh effect on his appointments. I mean, Pete Hegseth was on shaky ground until the Dems started attacking him the way they did. And the Republicans, thank God, woke up and said, screw these SOBs. I mean, if you guys are resisting him that much, just my enemy's enemy's my friend. Even if I don't like him or don't care for him, I want to follow Trump's agenda. I see what the people are saying. And I think that's why JFK, which I'm partial to Bobby, so I want him there. Bobby and Tulsi are going to make it over the hump. They made it out of committee. Everyone's saying, hey, that you made it out of committee, you're good. So, I mean, God willing, look at all these people. Now, Cash, he's having a little harder time maybe, but I mean, these are disruptors.
Is it because they fear him the most?
Well, look,
no, but I mean, look at the tactics from Trump has really changed the GOP. It'll never be, thank God, it'll never go back to I mean, really, it was an emasculated party, and Trump came in and really put a set of church bells on this party that was desperately needed. Even John Thune, I mean, I never thought I'd be impressed.
He's doing great.
He's doing a phenomenal job. The tactics, and Nico's absolutely right. These guys are going to get confirmed. What the Democrats can do, because all it takes is for one senator to do it. When they invoke cloture, when John Thune says, okay, I'm going to invoke cloture, let's stop debating, let's bring this to a vote, the Democrats can delay this. People need to know that the reason why Kennedy's not in there yet, the reason why Gabbard's not in there yet, and the reason why Cash isn't in there yet, and on and on and on, unfortunately, is because once cloture is invoked, the Democrats can literally stall the process by 30 hours. 30 hours. When you start adding up 30 hours, nominee by nominee, it adds up. And so John Thune said, man, this is going to be freaking until March or April. He says, okay, I'll tell you what, we're going to work through the weekends. Say goodbye to your families right now.
And he can do that. He can do that as Speaker.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah, that has a slight accelerating effect, doesn't it? That's something Republicans, just something
never
like that,
would have done.
Would never have done.
Yep.
And so I love that they're finally unifying around the priorities of the voters. And I think this has an opportunity to really keep the Republican Party in power for a long time. May it be so. I want to quote Ronald Reagan and get your thoughts on it.
Okay.
He says, quote, government's view of the economy could be summed up in a few short phrases. If it moves, tax it. If it keeps moving, regulate it. And if it stops moving, subsidize it.
Wow.
And so, really, I mean, he was making comments in the context of the regulatory state. I went back to a study by Auburn University from 2017 that said that each federal regulator is estimated to cost the United States economy 130 jobs and $11 million annually. One regulator is estimated to cost the United States economy over 130
How did you
jobs
figure that out?
and $11 million annually because of the impact of the regulations that they're imposing on the corporate framework.
Oh, to hire more people and to
That's each regulator has
money.
This is the statement of the power of one regulator to bring to a grinding halt, Nico, the economic agenda of a particular president. So even if Trump comes in and puts in lofty things in order, and even Congress comes in and says, yes, that's great. They pass an act, the bill gets passed, and so forth. How does it get implemented? A regulator can come in, because of what we're seeing, for instance, as an example with USAID, those dollars can literally be rechanneled, diverted elsewhere. I don't know if we're aware, but this is just one agency.
I know.
There's
that's
dozens of
what's-
agencies. People may not be aware that
killing me.
HHS gave money to USAID. FEMA gave money to USAID. I think this notion of money laundering is critical. I think it's accurate. I think USAID sits really at the hub of a money laundering operation, and it has been critical in stopping the things that should be happening and critical in driving the things that shouldn't be, that voters would never support. That's what we're unmasking here. Thank goodness that this is finally happening. I believe that Auburn is onto something. The power of a regulator today to stop economic progress, and thank goodness that we're going after this nonsense. What did John Kennedy say on the Senate floor? That there were a number of employees in USAID? Over 10,000 people. I think
10,000.
Yeah, and Doge said it's more like 14,000. And Trump does not have the constitutional authority. He does not have the constitutional authority to get rid of USAID because it was, even though it was a John F. Kennedy executive order, Congress followed up in 1998 and gave it statutory presence. It's called an enabling statute. But what Trump can do is he can dry it up. And I, from what I'm understanding, the number of employees went from 14,000 to about 294.
Yeah, 300.
Yeah. So he's basically
And it's
stripped
under
it.
Marco Rubio now.
Exactly. That's why they're
That
screaming.
guy's kicking ass, man.
And that's why they're screaming and complaining.
Okay, well, I want to know who these, is it 4 guys? These 4 Gen Zers. What did they know? How did they do it? And what are they doing now? And why is everybody so afraid of them? We're going to take a break, but we're going to be right back with more. You got to stick with us. Go to sidebartv.com, become a supporter, and we'll be right back.
San Antonio's news, weather, traffic, plus breaking news 24/7. This is News Radio 1200 WOAI from the GiveMeTheVin.com Sell Us Your Cars studio.
Good Saturday morning. I'm Eric Lycum on News Radio 1200 WOAI. New Orleans beefs up security ahead of tomorrow's big game. Details coming up. First, traffic and weather together.
The WOAI Traffic Center.
35 southbound on the lower level between Main Street and Cesar Chavez. We've got some construction that has the roadway down to just 1 lane. Right now we're seeing a 20-minute delay. Over on Loop 410 southbound, the on-ramp from Houston Street is closed for construction. I'm Alexis, News Radio 1200 WOAI.
Sunny and 71 at the WOAI 24-hour weather center. Our top story, New Orleans beefing up security for Super Bowl 59 at the Superdome tomorrow between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. Reinforced protection includes an enhanced security zone near Bourbon Street, which is where the deadly New Year's Day terrorist attack happened. 3 hostages released today by Hamas, now back in Israel. The 3 Israelis were handed over to the Red Cross in central Gaza this morning as part of the Israel-Hamas ceasefire agreement. Hamas says it expects Israel to release 183 Palestinian prisoners in exchange. The California wildfires putting a spotlight on the shortage of firefighting aircraft, which can drop water from the sky. Texas looking at buying their own to keep up with demand.
When we are not burning, we put them into that pool so that other states can then contract and help share that expense with us.
Texas Division of Emergency Management's NIMKID says that airplanes are not cheap, but a worthwhile investment. News on demand at WOAI.com. Our next update, top of the hour. Breaking information as it happens. I'm Eric Lycum on San Antonio's news, weather, and traffic station, News Radio 1200 WOAI.
After a dry weekend, some rain may move in on Monday. In the meantime, early clouds will give way to clearing for this afternoon with a high of 87 and then turning cloudy overnight with a low of 64. A little bit cooler tomorrow with early clouds followed by afternoon sunshine and a high near 78. I'm meteorologist Jeff Marr from the Weather Channel on San Antonio's official weather station, News Radio 1200 WOAI.
This report is sponsored by Lear Capital.
Our financial system is cracking under pressure. Your retirement is at risk. Take control now. Lear Capital is offering a free Sky High Silver Report and Precious Metals IRA guide at BetterNestEgg.com. Don't leave your future to chance. Go to BetterNestEgg.com.
1200 WOAI. This is Sidebar. I am loving the comments. I'm on Facebook Live right now, and I was looking at some of the comments today. One said, Nico, don't fight today like you did last week. Let's keep the peace. Chris said, Elon is
telling you not to breathe.
I know. Elon is filthy rich. He's not going to steal the title to your home or swindle the elderly out of Social Security. And I think it was Chris that also said, I wish Maxine Waters would get back in her coffin and quit yelling. Oh my God. There are so many funny comments that everybody's making, but Elon and those 4 guys, is it 4 guys that have taken over, really, going line by line? They're blowing my mind. Somebody said that right before they went in, there was no way that you could actually email the entire email group that had .gov. And they came in a couple of hours. They emailed the entire .gov group of people to say, you have until February 6th to either take this money or get the heck out. So, who are these guys? They are brilliant, obviously. They're doing things that are almost superhuman, and yet the Democrats are even afraid of them and doxing them, telling everybody their personal information.
They could be a mess, personally. Who knows? They're obviously very skilled in one area, and they're good at auditing, just making sure that dollars go where they're supposed to, looking at budgets. That's all.
Numbers guys.
Numbers guys.
Yeah.
And they have formulas in their little computer. I am technologically challenged. Everyone in this room knows that.
Everybody is compared to those guys.
What I'm saying is that's what they could be a mess. They could be horrible people morally. Who knows? But they're serving a purpose. And so you can attack. I won't defend them because I don't know them. I just think it's interesting how much they're attacking them. Look, I don't know if this is true or not. There's a Republican site that posted this. George can be our fact checker here. And a buddy of mine just sent it to me. Chelsea Clinton receives an annually recurring funding. She receives annually recurring funding from USAID allocated by Obama for her foundation.
How much?
Well, I'm getting there. which provides afternoon meals to children in Africa, India, and Bangladesh. Sounds great, right? However, as of today, the reported number of meals served stands at 11,886, which basically works up to the astonishing cost of $1,410 per meal so far. That's a hell of a racket. Her net worth allegedly is $70 million. Her husband's net worth allegedly is $45 million. Her inheritance is supposed to be $52 million, which is interesting. I guess they earned a lot of money since they left office, which I'm all support if they did it legally. USAID earnings $3.9 million per year. I guess she earned. Real estate assets of $25 million, monthly spends.
This is Chelsea.
This is Chelsea, and what the hell has she done? I don't know what she's done. No one even hears from her. She's like Kaiser Sosa. She's the smart one.
I love
she's the smart one. She just stays under the radar. She doesn't want any fame, fortune, and she's racking up money.
Well,
if she's done it legally and she's done it ethically, then great. But if this is tied to something like that, look, this needs to be investigated, whomever. And if there's a Republican involved, them too. This is not like my side versus your side. This is the truth and accountability to the American people based off their tax dollars. So I don't know if that's true or not because I have not confirmed it, but there's a lot of stuff like that out there.
And so that, I think that what this invites is a long-term investigation. I think you're going to see over the next couple of months. This is the gift that's going to keep on giving. This has been going on for decades. Nico's right. This thing was formed in 1961, but it's just one agency. And so you've got this integrated network, I think, of corruption. And the question that I have is, what is the kickback factor? What is that kickback factor? And so I think there's already evidence that lends itself to the notion that, in fact, aid monies are going towards initiatives and then ultimately going. In other words, so let's say that money is appropriated in Congress and it goes to a particular spending block, and then ultimately, what we don't know is if all of that money went for that initiative because. The accounting seems to be off on a number of things. And so are they in fact going back to those congressmen or senators who voted in favor for the appropriation to begin with? So there's some legitimate open questions about that. But the cool thing is that you have all of this data, and I just want to be clear that Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, has said that this is all happening with his blessing and that they are working with Treasury officials hand in glove. This isn't Musk out there doing whatever. There's an integrated effort here between Trump's confirmed nominee to run the Treasury, and in Trump's oversight. This is happening with his blessing, and it's happening in complete alignment with the objectives that he set forth in his campaign that Americans subsequently ratified with an overwhelming vote in his favor. And so Besson has done a number of shows where he's come and said, look, Elon's team's working in concert with Treasury officials.
Yeah.
So
he's not on his own.
Exactly right.
He can't do anything. He's just giving information, right?
That's right. And they're taking data. And they're using AI software. And I think, Salo, it's accessed through Microsoft's iCloud computing, from what I understand. Their service, what's it called? Azure, A-Z-U-R-E. And so they are able to literally comb through, just oceans of data and look for patterns that are suspicious. But things like line items and the amounts dispersed, and they have the dates when they were dispersed, and of course they have to whom they were dispersed. I just want to point out, it is a quote-unquote international aid, but the reality is, and this is the greater scandal of all this, is a lot of that money has been used for domestic initiatives. They're in fact left-wing pet projects, and in some cases, outright corrupt. We're talking about $8 million given to Politico. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars given to the New York Times, really in the aftermath of 2021. And so if you've seen singular reporting in Joe Biden's favor since 2021, I think you have to wonder why. Politico, it's been reputed, I've read in a couple of reports, that they don't know how they're going to pay their staff without that money. So the gravy train's already having an impact on the number of people that they will be hiring. In fact, people that are laying off. Why is it, in fact, do you think Breitbart, by the way, was funded by USAID? No. Probably not. Of course not. I don't think there's a dime to Fox News. So this is the kind of stuff we need to investigate.
But Democrats should be okay with this. Because if you're truly standing on whatever ideology the Democrat platform is advocating for, this can't be it. How do you defend this? And again, I go back to the point made that there's no Democrats supporting the spending. They're just resisting Donald Trump. And so Elon Musk he's not some rogue dude, and he's the one behind we didn't elect Donald Trump. That's all political
noise.
Banter. That's his noise. Mm-hmm. Yeah, whatever. Wah, wah, wah. I hear Charlie Brown's teacher speaking. And he's an instrument. Elon Musk is just an instrument. He's a tool. Someone said this, and I thought it was funny. I thought Salo would probably get a kick out of it. They were talking about now we've moved on to Musk deranged syndrome.
That's so true.
Think about it. These people are deranged over Musk, and they used to love him. Who loves the EV cars? Yeah. The left, the progressives, because, forget coal, shut down gas and all this other crap. And now they could give a crap about him, go back to South Africa, and they're yelling. You're yelling over this, but other stuff you don't yell over. It's just.
I love AOC calling Elon dumb, but she drives a Tesla. I was like,
she was a bartender. But the rumors to what we were talking about, they're saying that Elon Musk bought how many commercials?
I think four commercials.
He's buying 4 commercials on the Super Bowl on his dime just to show what they've been spending money on.
Wow.
That's the biggest watch show ever.
Wow, that is huge. Well, look, but this is part of the transparency.
Well, let me ask you a question. Yeah. What are the pros and cons in regards to him he's not being paid because he's not on staff? He's not getting paid. No, so is that a good thing or a bad thing to protect himself? Because if he was paid...
What do you mean?
Because he's not getting paid by anybody.
I know.
To do this.
Okay.
Is that a protection thing?
Well, no, it's not a necessary thing.
Paying him would be like $10 an hour.
It's a counter argument to him being greedy and trying to get all kinds of money. He's doing things that could arguably hurt himself when he makes his comments about EVs and things.
But legally, I'm sorry, if they want to come against him, right now they're saying
I don't see a connection whether he's paid or not. That's more like when Trump didn't get paid the first time he was president. He didn't take the $400,000. Is he getting paid this time? By the way,
I don't think so.
I don't think so. He is either. Right.
But I think and this is legitimate if in fact he has access to that data, and we're talking about Treasury data, and given his contracts with the government. There is an arm's length concern, but Trump acknowledges that, Treasury acknowledges that, and they say, look, we're aware of this, and he's out of the areas where he shouldn't be, and he has access to the stuff that he's supposed to have access to that are consistent with this job description, and that was the right answer. But I want to speak to this guy right now, if I can, Nico. Luke Farrator This is in Nebraska today, February 5th, 2024. Luke Ferrator named co-winner of $700,000 prize for IDing scroll passages. What's that about? This is one of the guys on the Musk team. This is the guy I think is most impressive. A 20-year-old kid from University of Nebraska.
20?
21. And so what does he do? He takes on the Herculaneum Challenge a few years ago. What is the Herculaneum Challenge? Well, it's a city that was destroyed in 79 AD with the Mount Vesuvius eruption, as was Pompeii, the most famous. I've been in Pompeii, and it is a sobering experience. I think everybody should go. It's phenomenal. And so it's perplexed people through the ages. It's been 2,000 years that there are these sort of charred clumps of papyri scrolls that are not decipherable anymore because the ink has been burned off and because the integrity of the scroll itself, if it's charred, is really sort of unmanageable and totally undecipherable. And so this guy comes up with a mechanism for being able to access those Greek letters and words and managed to do so. And so what he did is he basically discovered an ancient blog from Herculaneum. And so we have now access to information, volumes of information, because he was able to do that. And he was able to do through some pretty intense AI computing
I got a lot of
techniques.
questions about that one.
we have to take a break, but I saw
that
him.
Technology, that know-how.
I saw him. He said he was doing it while he was at a party. I was like, okay, who is this guy? Okay, we are going to take a break. Now's the time. Go to sidebartv.com, get on a media platform, social media platform. We will be right back.
With reputations as respected high-level prosecutors in Bexar County, the attorneys of LaHood Norton Law Group bring invaluable practical knowledge from the other side of the aisle, using over 70 years of combined experience to strategically advocate clients' rights and pursue the best possible outcome.
I'm Nico LaHood with LaHood Norton Law Group. Have you been arrested or accused of a crime? The LaHood Norton Law Group has the knowledge to defend you regardless of how small or large your case. In Bexar County, anywhere in the state, or even nationwide, we have the knowledge to defend you in federal or state court, no matter how small or large your case. We are trial lawyers with proven success.
Using their 70 years of combined experience to strategically advocate for their clients' rights and pursue the best possible outcome. The LaHood Norton Law Group. For a free consultation, call today, 210-797-7700. 210-797-7700. LaHoodNorton.com.
This is Nico LaHood. If you or a loved one has been arrested or accused of a crime, we can help.
LaHoodNorton.com.
1200 WOAI. This is Sidebar. Please go to sidebartv.com right now. Become a supporter of the show because we need your help. This is just the beginning. We got to go on and kind of keep this group together and so we can introduce this show to other people and just get the word out. It is funny, in my mind, the things that they're discovering, because every single day when they list new things that they found, I'm like, this can't be real. This can't be real. And then when you see the guys that are going line by line, like the guy you were talking about who like is deciphering what's on a zillion-year-old scroll.
All these people are bitching about it. I would say, okay, let's just, for argument's sake, let's assume that we found out that there's a lot of waste and spending in this organization, and let's just assume that it's verified, just for argument's sake, that pick the top 20 terrible spends. Wouldn't you think that's a good thing for us to call this out, or do you support this type of behavior, this organization? I would turn it on them. I would. I mean, now they're yelling at a protest.
Think of it, make it smaller, make it your household, and you don't know how your wife bought a $4,000 purse because she's been hiding it. Like, you want to know, where did that come from? Where did the money come from? And, you know, how did it get
asking for a friend, right? You're asking for a friend?
Right, sure. But, you know, I mean, it's just common sense that you would want to know where your money's going. And it is our money.
Again, they're not defending the spending. They're not defending I don't understand. No one's pushed back on them because they're just yelling too much. And Trump's not even bothering with them, and Republicans are just moving on. You don't have to like it.
That press conference was so passionate
Which one? The one from the Democrats?
Yeah, for the Democrats.
Yeah, it was
You're
funny.
like, oh my God, you guys are just like, please stop searching us.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
he who yells the loudest. Yeah.
No, but I love. We are finally. I feel like we're actually on the right track. We actually have a chance to reverse the damage that's been done over the last many decades in terms of building this regulatory framework. I mean, this buyout situation is absolutely phenomenal. It certainly isn't the first. I love that. Every time I see a story that a federal judge puts a pause, it's always that. It's
What does that mean, though?
Not surprisingly, out of D.C. Talk to me, if you can, for a second, Nico. This idea of a federal judge holding a national injunction. How does that work?
I mean, look, they're gonna appeal that, obviously. I mean, look, my understanding, he didn't make a ruling on the merits, and the merits are kind of fuzzy for me. I didn't dig into it. I didn't get a chance to go into it.
That's right.
He said they're claiming a violation of statutory law and some type of union agreements, which is another argument of whether federal employees should be part of a union or not. People have very strong opinions about that as well. He just essentially suspended the deadline and extended the deadline, which the Republicans are like, great.
Yeah,
more people have people have opportunity to take on this.
Exactly.
And it's not being forced on anybody. It's offered as a buyout, that they don't have to work till October. You get paid out. Look, there's I didn't know this until I looked. There's 2.3 roughly million employees, not counting the military. 2.3 million federal employees, not counting the military. So, I mean, and only my understanding, again, these are the claims. I've not verified this myself. 6% of the people come to the office and work full time.
Correct.
Only 6% are full-time workers at home. So somewhere between, different reporting has different numbers, 40 to 60,000 federal employees have accepted this offer. So when you think about, even if it's on the high side, 65,000 out of 2.3 million employees, it's really not that much though, but they're working to trying to shave the fat. Now, they're going to require them to show up. And my understanding is some federal employees actually moved away from D.C. and these places because they could work from home. And they're like,
and
oh,
worked
crap.
a second job.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yeah. Look, I'm all for efficiency. I don't want to fire people that don't need to be fired. Obviously, we need federal employees, but can we trim this? Can we be more efficient? Every private business does this. Every household should be doing this on shaving off money and trimming the quote-unquote fat and on expenditures, being a responsible, God bless you, being a responsible steward with money. That's what this is about. I'm glad that word is being used by Republicans. It's about stewardship. You have been given an opportunity to steward someone else's money. Trust them. If someone tells you private information, you're stewarding that private information. Someone that comes to us and hires us, we're stewarding their life and their legal situation. A doctor is stewarding someone's health. A nutritionist, whatever it is. And it's about stewardship. It's not theirs. They are supposed to take care of it for the American people. So that's the right terminology to use when you're looking at this type of money.
And they only targeted 10% of the workforce. That was their objective, which would be unbelievable. And I think when they ran their calculations, they said it would be a minimum of about $100 billion worth of savings because they believe that many of these jobs are not necessary. And when you start looking at any list that we've just been reading, I mean, pick a list, because they're just scratching the surface, whether it's Caroline Leavitt at a presser or John Kennedy on the Senate floor that reads all of these misappropriated dollars that the American taxpayers never voted for, you start to think, exactly what do these people do all day? And I know you sent me somebody was up in arms on LinkedIn. You sent me a Karen this past week.
Yes.
And they were angry that Musk had said that, I guess in the Department of the Interior, that there were a number, was it Department of Treasury? I think it was Department of the Treasury, that Musk had claimed that, there wasn't an allocation or there wasn't an invoice that they didn't approve. Every invoice was approvable. And this person was saying, no, this is actually not true. This is BS. I mean, there's a series of steps where this is the case.
It's killing jobs.
Yeah. And so what's actually happening here is that we're showing that in fact what Musk said was indeed accurate. And this gets buried in a sort of the regulatory spaghetti. We have the tools and we have the people finally to get under the hood and see what in the world is going on. I think we should all be very hopeful. Yeah. I mean, so talk about the amount of dollars that get saved and get put actually back into places where they should be. I love this. So when they get up in arms about Trump's tax cuts and how this means less revenue, is this not a good thing? Do we really want to be sucking from the American taxpayer to fund this crap? So this is brilliant. This is a great way for Trump to mobilize the economy. Look at all these dollars. We're talking hundreds of billions. How much do we spend every single year out of the Department of Treasury? $6 trillion. Mm-hmm. And every single year we're about $2 trillion over. what we collect
Think
from
about that.
taxes.
And we've lost the idea of what trillions and billions are because we use billions and T's. And I mean,
No
first of all,
concept,
trillion, what?
right.
And then someone just, well, but what's a gazillion? I don't know. I mean, I guess that's coming. We're numb to this now. But when you really put numbers and put pen to paper on how much money, it's astronomical. And the future of this country can't sustain. So look, if you talk about doing something, this is what he's doing, what people have promised, but he's actually fulfilling it. Look, I don't know. I wanted to talk about, I hate to shift just so abruptly, but I want to make sure we start talking about this. We can finish on the after show. I mean, Gaza. I mean, there's another surprise. There's another surprise from Trump. You know, I heard that no one knew he was going to talk about this. I mean, he obviously looked like he was reading from something. Bibi Netanyahu looked a little bit. He's a professional, obviously, and he's been doing this a long time. But he even looked a little. What?
That's a good idea,
right? But look, I mean, people have very passionate opinions about this. I heard people say, "Well, look, what's Albert Einstein's definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, thinking you're getting a different result. Okay, I get it. So there's nothing else to do." I've heard other people say, which I think I'm tending to be on this side, at least at this point, is that's just Trump being Trump. And getting people off their ass to do something and saying, hey, you're not going to do anything. You better act or we're going to do something. And more of because he was asked about this. He was asked about this when the Japanese prime minister was with him in office. And he says, well, we aren't in any rush. I mean, specifically that stuck with me when he said that we aren't in any rush. So, people need to get involved. So that just made me think that, okay, it's just Trump being Trump, trying to get people thinking and talking outside the box, which I like. I think my position ultimately, look, he ran on being on a non-interventionist policy. And I just don't think we need to be involved. And I'm sure George or somebody can give me an argument on why that there's an American interest to do something like this. But I pause. I pause and let's see this play out. I think nobody should overreact, even though everybody overreacted. And it just seems like Trump is just getting people to think.
And I think, again, the media kicks into high gear with propaganda, fomenting a problem that doesn't really exist, in my view. I have a couple of thoughts on this, Nico. That the Oslo Accords of 1993 basically said that Israel was going to give the Palestinians land and economic stability, if you will, economic prosperity in exchange for security.
Right.
It was the birth of the so-called two-state solution. And so during that time, that a reporter asked a question during the presser, asked Trump a question and says, well, does that mean you're abandoning the two-state solution? And Trump says, I didn't say anything about that. But what's interesting is that what Trump proposed strikes at the heart of the Oslo Accords. Now, it's never happened.
Well, how does it strike at the heart? If America's saying we're taking over, that's specific words, right?
I know, but that doesn't mean, where did Trump say we were going to have troops and military assets on the ground?
But then how do you accomplish it without that?
Well, simple. I think it's rather straightforward, as far as I'm concerned, unless I'm delusional, and it may very well be. But what I see here, and when you hear the details that he provides, involving other nations, engaging Egypt, engaging Jordan,
I heard
what
that.
Trump is offering here, the elimination of Hamas is of no interest to America militarily, because Israel's doing a fine job on its own. So Israel's doing just fine. In fact, Israel's going to continue that job. So we're in no rush. Exactly. Get those pricks out of there, clean that place out, and then America steps in basically in a project management capacity on steroids. America will facilitate the really kind of a joint task force. And yes, in case I'm sure you did, but he basically, it was kind of a veiled threat. I really think that Egypt and Jordan ought to take on some of these Palestinians.
Well, I heard that, yeah.
Yeah,
And
okay.
they said no.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so just like
Right.
Colombia said no.
Yeah, just like Claudia Sheinbaum said no.
Canada.
Justin Trudeau. Right. It's that kind of
no. I guess people got hung up on the word takeover.
Okay.
Versus overlook.
That's right. And someone can take over the administration and the management of a project. And America has the assets to do that. I mean, look at Doge. They're doing a pretty good job taking over, the analysis of government waste, fraud, and abuse. Doing a pretty good job. Nothing to do with military incursions, none of that kind
he was
of
clear
stuff.
about that.
And so I think what the way Trump is looking at this is basically a way to actually implement, no, not a two-state solution. I think Trump disagrees with that, as do I and many people. The two-state solution will never work because one of the parties wants the other dead.
Exactly.
That's why the two-state solution isn't going to work. But the elements of the Oslo Accords involved economic prosperity. They created a Palestinian Authority in 1993. That's what came out of the Accords. And that Palestinian Authority was supposed to take leadership and take initiative to start building social stability, to create economic stability and economic integrity. And they never did that. Instead, whatever money they received, they started building up a military force that Israel was then worried would launch attacks. And I think they were legitimately worried. So Trump is saying that economic idea and economic stability, that's a really great idea. But he figures Hamas is there. Let's let the Palestinians go back to Egypt and Jordan. I mean that specifically, back to Eden. There is no such thing as a Palestinian ethnicity. All Palestinians are a mixture of Egyptians and Jordanians. This is a myth that there's somehow this Palestinian ethnicity that's being protected here. That doesn't exist. It's a pan-Arabic state.
It's a land issue, right? Yeah.
And so he's telling the Egyptians and the Jordanians, why don't you take, in essence, your people back for the time being? Let's create a place that is economically prosperous. Let's rout Hamas, and then everybody can come back. And we can actually have a chance at a future.
There's definitely more to talk about this as we wrap up and get ready for the after show. But so please join us on the after show. Look, I've learned not to overreact when Trump says things. Just pause. Just pause and wait.
Good for you. Good for you.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not as educated on this issue as George is. So we're going to talk this out. We'll answer some questions, look at your comments. Thank you for joining us. Have a very blessed weekend and enjoy the Super
preceding
Bowl,
show
I guess,
is
right?
paid for by the LaHood Norton Law Group. The views and opinions expressed are those of the advertiser and do not necessarily represent those of WOAI and iHeartMedia.
This is News.
Okay, George, are you going to continue with your
Yeah,
thought
we got to
there?
continue on Gaza. Look, I mean, I'm going to be the ignorant interviewer here. I mean, because I'm not up to date as much as George is on this.
Yeah, me
You
neither.
understand the conflict
Oh,
well.
yeah. Look, that the conflict I understand.
Yeah.
And this is really not that difficult. I mean, I get they want to turn occupiers, they want to yell this. Look, you have one side that says allegedly, I mean, I think the evidence supports this, meaning Israel says, we want peace. I'm not saying they've been perfect. When someone says that defends Israel, it doesn't mean that they have 100% score on their report card. So I mean, you say when they're wrong. I mean, I'm not saying they haven't done things wrong, but one side is willing to live at peace, and I think that the evidence bears that out, right, through the history of that.
Overwhelmingly so.
We've talked about that on the show before, and the other side says, we want peace also if you're dead. I mean, so you can't negotiate with somebody like that. There's no negotiation. So when you say two-state solution, in theory, I think George, you said it right, and correct me if I'm wrong. In theory, it makes sense if you have the other side saying, I don't want you dead. Because, you can't. Yeah. And they even said after October 7th, there's going to be another October 7th. And there's going to be another. So, I get the humanitarian side of this. I understand that there's been some innocent civilians there relatively. And I know George has a different opinion on this, meaning non-military people, even though they voted in Hamas, even though they have strong feelings about Israel. But meaning that they're not engaged directly into this, and it's terrible. No one wants to see children and families destroyed. It's a bunch of rubble over there. I understand that, but what do you do, Karen? I mean, and I really think the problem is this. I do, that people haven't seen exactly what happened on October 7th.
Yeah. Oh God.
I mean, you just have to see it.
I know.
You have to watch the videos.
I won't because
I know it'll jack you up.
Yeah,
I mean, and even though I've seen a lot of videos like that, it made me go, I mean, it gave me a little bit of a squint. I mean, talking about just chopping off people's head with a hoe, like from a gardening tool. I mean, you see it. I mean, just just chopped off this dude's head,
Babies.
and then babies, and then ovens, and then
Yeah.
just just blood splattered everywhere, and dead bodies, and people, and families destroyed,
And videotaping
and
themselves
and
doing
raping
it.
women,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
raping them so hard that their pelvic,
Yeah.
I mean, and then calling back, hey, I killed 2 of the, I mean, look, that's real. That's real stuff. And I thought it was telling when some of these reporters saw the videos that I'm not sure who put them together.
Yeah.
But because it's all on the GoPros. I mean, they were
Yeah.
proud of this thing. It's not like you have to guess. You didn't just have to see the aftermath. You get to see what happened that led to the aftermath. I mean, some people got sick, which understandably. Some people were just never going to be the same. You never can take those images out of your head. And so you have to see it. Now, does that mean that we have revenge? No, revenge is never a good idea, but retribution is. Retribution means justice. What is the appropriate response to something like this? Now, and we're just doing a little recap, right, Cameron? Now, can Israel control that Hamas, the cowards that they are setting up camps behind innocent civilians underneath hospitals because they spent all that aid that they were getting for years creating tunnels so they could do this type of terroristic behavior on Israel and whoever else they wanted to. So they misused the money. Their people are still hurting. I mean, and then the argument is, well, then you people, you voted them in. Yeah, well, did they really vote them in, or was there some funny business? Who knows? Because when terrorists come in, I don't think they're really much into democracy or constitutional republics. So I don't know about their voting system and how you double check that. So I pause on blaming the citizens right now off the bat. But there is support for Hamas, and they're the ones that were quote unquote voted in. But and the analogy, if you remember, Karen, that I used back then, is someone walks into your kid's 5th grade classroom.
I love this analogy.
And they get a 10-year-old from the classroom next door, or a 7-year-old, somebody else's kid, or the teacher. They say the teacher, or use the kid, whatever. And they hold them in front of them, and they say, I'm going to shoot all these kids. And you walk in with a weapon, and they shoot the first 5-year-old, and they shoot the second 5-year-old, and they shoot the third 5-year-old. Well, let go of that kid. Let go of that kid so I can shoot you. Let's have a gunfight. Screw you. You keep thinking that, and they shoot the next kid. And then your kid's somewhere in the group. What are you going to do?
Gotta kill him.
Well, you better say, I'm going to do my best to aim for his head. But if I unfortunately and tragically and unintentionally kill the kid in front of the terrorist before I kill the terrorist, the innocent blood is on the terrorist because he created that circumstance. That's how the law looks at it. And that's how we should look at it as a society. Now, is that a perfect example? No, but it definitely, I think, sums up what we're dealing with here. I mean, it's not like they want to say, hey, let's go fight in the streets and let's have this out. They're hiding behind women, children, hospitals, and schools as they're launching their attacks. Hey, too bad you can't touch me. Well, I got to stop you from bombing us. So I'm going to have to do my best to avoid. And that's why they sent all that, get out of there, please leave. And I get it.
I couldn't watch those videos, but when I heard Pete Hegseth say, we are going to go in there and kill all of them, I was like, that's the only way that it needs to be taken care of.
You can't tame a scorpion.
No.
And you cannot tame a rattlesnake. You can tame a dog and some other animals, but you cannot tame a horse. But there are certain animals that you cannot tame. No one's ever had a legitimate pet rattlesnake, and no one's ever had a legitimate pet scorpion. You're just not. It's always going to do what a scorpion does.
They had one for about 1 minute.
Well, but it's not even the true
Right.
nature. You have to bastardize the term pet.
Right.
I mean, so these people that have a seared conscience, that they're what we call reprobate, they're beyond redemption because they have such an evil intent. The only way you do that is you have to stop them. Now, what does stop mean? It's either detain them perpetually or kill them. Notice I didn't say murder. Murder means the spilling of innocent blood. That's just reality. So if we're not going to have honest conversations about that, because you get people that are so passionate about, the Palestinians and against this and the Israel. And look, I mean,
Why can't we all just get along?
I'm not an Israel defender. I'm an Israel pragmatist. I understand what Scripture as a Christian says about Israel, so I honor that. I honor God's word. But they're still human beings, and all I got to do is study the book of Judges and see that they can screw shit up real quick for a long time. 12 times over, they needed a new judge. So I mean, they're human beings with flesh, and they are flawed. But again, I don't ignore the fact that what Scripture says, what God says about the nation of Israel. But I don't know if that's a good recap or not, George. But I mean, just to kind of, because it all leads up to this.
It's a good recap of the backdrop in which Trump is making his comments. I mean, there's a backdrop that informs why he's saying what he's saying. Whatever has been tried hasn't worked for a reason. That's the point. And Trump's saying we need to shift our thinking here. How do we in fact create an environment where people can prosper, including Palestinians.
Sure.
Okay, how do we do that? So here's Trump's comment at the presser. He says, quote, the U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on site. Level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings. Level it out. Create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area.
Yeah.
And what he is saying is that Egypt and Jordan play a critical role in this. And ethnically, very appropriately, as we just said, there is no such thing as an ethnic Palestinian. It was invented by Yasser Arafat literally out of his ass. And it became a talking point. The reality is that this is a Pan-American melting pot. And a lot of these individuals...
A what melting pot?
A Pan-Arabic melting pot.
Pan-Arabic.
Sorry about that.
This is Pan-American.
Apology.
Pan-Arabic.
Yeah,
Okay.
good catch. Pan-Arabic melting pot. And they're Egyptians and they're Jordanians. And this basically will end up being yet another 23rd, Arab state. And so Trump is saying, look, this is really the only hope. You got to get the cancer out. Let Israel continue its operations. Let them finish the job and get these murderous piece of shit thugs out of there. And absolutely, are there innocent Palestinians? Yes, of course there are.
Sure.
But the vast majority of them are under 8 years of age. Why is that? Because very early on, they get recruited into a Hamas army and they turn into killing machines. That is a verifiable fact. And that is therein the problem. And Trump is saying, yeah, we're not in a hurry. You're damn right we're not in a hurry. Let Israel do what it needs to do. And then like a typical builder, and I speak from this with experience, you come in and you clear the site. You get rid of anything that is an impediment to your construction. It could be trees, it could be rocks, it could be refuse, it could be debris, it could be whatever.
Undetonated bombs, too.
Whatever, exactly. It's got to be a safe working
Yeah.
environment, for goodness sakes, right? This is why you have something called scaffolding. So you can actually traverse high areas without falling on your ass. So Trump is talking actually like a builder, like a developer. These are development terms. And the way, if you couch the America involvement in these terms, Nico, I see somebody who wants to come in and lead the effort. I don't know what the hell that has to do with having an army coming in and running a military exploit.
I thought your description was good. We use terminology take over. I'll take over the project. Well, you're not going to own the project. You're just going to lead the project. I think that's very good.
But he's a construction guy, and I do get that
construction
terminology.
language.
Right.
Yes, that's construction language. And because he was very specific. I think the question, and it's a fair question. How do you take over and lead anything if you can't control the area? So you control it with military force. And then I think Trump's response would be, there has to be buy-in from Egypt, Jordan, and all these stuff.
Yeah.
So, but now there has to be an understanding. Now, here's the problem. Again, I play these things out. What if Jordan and Egypt for some reason, don't do that? What if they start to do it and they say, screw it? Because do you trust them? I mean, do you trust Iran to not have a nuclear program? I mean, so where's the oversight? Now, does the oversight take American dignitaries, troops, something to overlook that? That's a legitimate question. So it needs to be planned out.
I think it is. And I think, look, Egypt has brought in, to just be fair, and both Jordan, they've brought in so-called Palestinians in the past. And it was a disaster area. You had instances of terrorism inside. What the hell did that have to do with Israel? Nothing. And so, yeah, you can, it's tough to take the terrorism out of a terrorist. And so I think what Trump is saying is that, and this is where you got to leverage the immense economic power of the United States. Look, we've been sending, as U.S. aid debacle has shown, we've been sending millions of dollars to Afghanistan. John Kennedy brought that up on the Senate floor, and he actually asked rhetorically, he goes, did anybody else know that? I didn't know that. Did anybody know that we were sending money to Afghanistan? Did anyone here know we were sending money to Syria? Why the hell are we sending money to Syria? It's a shithole over there. Are you kidding me? And the anti-American jihadi shithole. Shithole. So, okay, step back for a moment now. How can Trump appropriately leverage those dollars to actually get American interests furthered? And I think that's at the heart of this play. I think it's a good play. I think it makes sense. And if for no other reason, Nico, not a damn thing that's been tried has actually worked. The two-state solution is mythology, at least with Hamas running the roost and with Hezbollah doing what they do. you know. So I love it. I don't see what the big deal is, but it's typical Trump. He puts something
it's
out there.
Trump, yeah. That's why I say people need to relax. I mean, it's Trump. He's doing so much.
When he said, "Look, I wish there was a way we could just drink bleach and get rid of COVID." Yeah. It's the same thing.
Well, look, I mean, I got a lot more clarity for me. This is me. I just paused. I said, I need to educate myself on the circumstances and what's his. I want to hear his thought process. I get some people think he's moving on so fast on other things. Maybe he was going to move fast on this. So, I mean, look, that's legitimate. You have to just acknowledge people's concerns. I mean, even people that support him that have a non-interventionist mindset, which I don't want us involved in all over the place. If we want to pull in our money, and look, there, you know, the military-industrial complex is real. I mean, we need to have a strong military, but there's a lot of shady business in that area too. So that needs to be looked at also. So, I mean, can you accomplish a strong military and root out the bullshit in there? That's what needs to happen too. We just have to be very sober-minded and objective and non-tribalistic in analyzing ideas. That's where I'm coming from. I want to analyze evidence and analyze ideas and then do what's best for the American people. Be very transparent about it and then save dollars and reallocate them appropriately. We have plenty of stuff we need done here from North Carolina. When you have FEMA that doesn't have any money, then you start thinking to yourself, hey, well, could some of this U.S. aid money been used here? Hell yeah, it could have been used here.
Well,
and so
not only that, but even closer to home, like when I heard that Mexico was putting like 10,000 soldiers at the border to stop the cartel from, you know, sending fentanyl across the border, I was like, how are those soldiers going to beat the cartel that's been in charge there for forever? They don't tell me that they're not, you know, don't have more guns, don't have more, no feelings, and to me, it's the same way. Like, I want to believe that they can take care of the cartel along with the American soldiers, but how long is that going to take?
Mexico has $450 to $500 billion on the line, and that's a lot. That's a lot of leverage, and 10,000 troops. There's never been a serious massive national military effort to root out and weed out cartels.
That could happen fairly easily. And we're not dealing with.
And, you know, where there's a will, there's a way, and they have the resources. I mean, $450 billion is on the line. You're going to find a way, and it's going to be fast. Well, look, I mean, part of Caroline Leavitt's list of all the bullshit uses of money out of this USAID is what? $6 million in tourism to Egypt, right? So maybe we ought to redefine this tourism. How about you take back some of these?
What does that mean?
Exactly.
Why the hell? They don't need our help in tourism. They got the damn pyramids and the mummies and all that shit. I mean, they don't need us for $6 million.
Why does 90% of that money
mummies and all that?
It feels like no, but why is 90% of that money going to something sexual too? I'm like, what? What the?
Send more condoms.
Yeah, I know, but that's legit. I mean, that's really a line item. That's legitimate. Now, if you're saying we don't want them reproducing, they're not using the condoms.
No.
I mean, there's just this is ridiculous. It's embarrassing to see the other side complaining about this. It really is embarrassing. It's not a coup. I don't even know what that means. It's a coup. What's a coup? What part is a coup? Elon Musk is committing a coup? I mean, what's the coup?
No one's gonna go to Egypt.
Is it a coup because Trump's the president, asshole? He was elected.
Exactly.
Now let me tell you this, because you mentioned Thune and the Republicans growing a pair. I don't think we'd be in the same state if Trump didn't win the popular vote. I really don't. I don't think so. I think that just it woke everybody up. I think we'd have riots in the street. I think we'd have the media would be still doing what the former media used to do, even though they've toned it down a little bit, except for The View because they're idiots. But everybody else has toned it down just a little bit. You know, I mean, it would be horrible. I'm telling you. And Republicans would not be. I hate to say this, but it's my opinion.
I think you're spot on.
The fact that he got the popular vote. Yeah. You know, and people are like, oh shit, okay, hold on,
because it happened before. This is what happened when
Trump
won the election in 2016. He didn't win the popular vote, and that became the gift that kept on giving. It was the talking point of all the revolutionaries across the country, including the Democrats, right? Who are very concerned about our democracy. Never forget that. Democrats are very concerned about democracy. And it's interesting. Democrats have had a sort of reawakening of their passion for constitutional law. They've been saying what Trump is doing is unconstitutional.
So
I thought that's really, really interesting. They didn't seem too concerned when Biden somehow found $400 billion to terminate student loan obligations. Who's going to pay? They were okay with that. Where's that money coming from? Taxpayers are going to be on the hook for that. All of a sudden, they're not concerned about constitutional law and about checks and balances, and about separation of powers whenever there's a Democrat in president. Right. Only when there's a Republican. But I would say, let's take this money, take the $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt, take the $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala. Take the $20 million for a new Sesame Street show in Iraq.
That's what Chris just said.
Take the $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. That's $32.5 million. That can do a lot of good towards this economic development plan in Gaza, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Egypt has a huge stake in this. I mean, they share the border with it. It's the southwestern corner of Israel sharing the southernmost border with Egypt. Egypt should be all in. But I think Trump has a lot of leverage here, and I love it. He shot across the bow. These guys are like, yeah, he must be bullshitting, but they know that there's a thread.
Right.
Where he's serious as a heart attack. There's a thread there, and they're probably like, oh, shit. And I love that. I love that he keeps them guessing. That's important.
This is the kind of stuff you need to happen with accountability. You talk about transparency. You don't have to like Trump, but the guy's answering questions. He's doing interviews. He's saying everybody can talk, and now you see the method and the madness of why he picked a bunch of communicators. I mean, all of his cabinet picks are all going on air. Hegseth is going on air. Bassett, what's his name?
Scott
Bessent, the Treasury guy. I mean, they're all good. I mean, Tulsi's not shy of doing interviews. Bondi was on air. I mean, she's a good speaker too. I mean, Cash is going to be on air. Bobby's going to do it too. I mean, because he wants people to be. I mean, Duffy. I mean, they're all out there. I mean, Noam, they're doing interviews. Homan, even though he's not cabinet, but I mean, you understand, he has surrogates, and he wants communicators and disruptor. Look, and look, I know some people that criticize, he doesn't care about qualifications. Okay, what did your people's qualifications get us?
Don't even start.
I mean, yeah, I know. I mean, so the people you supported had qualifications. How did that work out for us? So I guess we can have that debate. We can look at objective evidence and look at indicators and data, and then the truth will fall where it falls. But look, this is what he needs to keep doing, because 2 years is a critical vote. 2 years, whether we either expand control of the House, keep providing for the American people, not have obstructionists. That's why he said these first 100 days. I mean, they talk about every president the first 100 days, but these are really, really critical. And I mean, what can you say? I'm just going to hold on for the ride and see what's going on.
I love it. I love it. And I wonder how much of this is going to come back on the domestic stuff. I'm really curious about it. In other words, we most Americans clearly sensed that government had been weaponized against them, particularly as it pertains to censoring speech. And of course, I mean, lawfare. And I think that it's not unheard of that you're going to find monies being allocated to fund those initiatives. And so there's a lot of reasons why these Democrat hacks are flipping out. And it's not just because, of kickbacks. I think there's outright illegal activity on domestic soil. And never mind all the insane stuff overseas.
Sorry, you just got something. Sorry, George. So they want to bust Trump's balls and call him a convicted felon because an accountant documented and lodged in. It wasn't even him. They had no evidence that case is going to get overturned, by the way. But there's a shit ton of stuff wrong with it besides the actual merits of the case. I mean, even if you don't like Trump, I have Democrat scholars have said this is horrible. So this is not because I support Trump. I mean, so you have an accountant that booked in a legal expense that he didn't even do. And you're going to call him a convicted felon, a criminal, all this other shit. But the U.S. aid, you're going to defend and yell and call people names and teach people to march in the streets. And
it's absurd.
I would love to cross-examine every one of those people, march. And I'd say, let's go line item. I want to talk to you about this. And I want to have a conversation. I would cross-examine the shit out of them and really push back on what exactly are you mad at? I want to know. I mean, quit using words. I don't want a conclusion. Explain to me what you're so pissed off at.
It's like a movie, though. They're getting closer and closer and closer to whatever it is they're screaming about.
It's no different than Fulano and Steve and Freddie when empty your pockets. What do you have in your pocket?
It's
now, you might be
same.
offended that I can't believe I'm close to you. Why would you ask me, Karen? I would never steal from you.
Well,
That's
then show
different.
me.
But there was $1,000 there. I walk out of the room. You three people are here. Unless the tooth fairy took it, somebody took my money. I mean, you know, and so the one that doesn't want to empty their pockets, and again, I can make an argument. I can do a Fourth Amendment argument that you don't have a right to it. I'm not talking about that.
We get it.
You understand the analogy.
Yeah.
What I want to know why so much passion and anger. I mean, they're just trying to resist Trump at and I don't think that's a winning ticket. If the Democrats, look, I want a strong Democrat Party. I do. I want a reasonable, logical Democrat Party. I think that toiling back and forth is good for our constitutional republic. I want the John Fettermans out there. I want the Joe Manchins out there. I want people. I want the Harold Fords out there. I do. I mean, that to me creates a stronger government because we have a lot in common. By the way, we're not burning the barn down just to win an argument. That's what's happening right now. Look what's happening. Look what we're seeing. So, the Democrat Party really they're going to have to really do some soul searching. And did you see they elected the same hack? That they elected the same shit. Did you see that?
Same. Yeah,
it's the same stuff.
How can they not be embarrassed, though?
And double down on the DI madness.
That's crazy.
They're sticking with it.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And these are Marxist tactics, man. I mean, you show up.
Martina Navratilova supports Trump signing that executive order about men and women's sports. Martina Navratilova. Yeah. She's not the beacon of conservatism. I mean, you know what I mean? But she understands what's right and wrong. Let's do some common sense. Let's go back to the basics. Let's acknowledge what we've all acknowledged for decades and decades and centuries, and let's go back to arguing over the stuff that we should be arguing about. Maybe. I mean, I'm sorry, I cut you off, George. It just drives me insane.
It's driving us all insane.
But you did
all
it
of
for
this
Martina
stuff is
Navratilova,
crazy.
so it was worth it.
Well, poor lady.
Hell of a tennis player.
She was.
No, I'm just saying this is all they have left. What are Democrats going to do? They're going to do the only thing they have left to do. They're going to make noise. And this actually worked when the Department of Justice was corrupt because they would use the noise as a front to act like something illegal had happened, and then it would launch an investigation
But when the
against
two
conservatives.
leading it are Maxine Waters and Schumer, it is
man.
awful.
Yeah, they've completely lost
it's so
credibility.
embarrassing. It's like,
I mean, Schumer had like a double whammy of embarrassment this week. His stupid avocado skit.
God.
It was stupid. Did you see that, Salo? Did that offend you?
Awful.
I mean, that avocado, your guacamole beer for the Super Bowl.
That was so
Shut up. I mean, and Jon Stewart once again. Rightfully so. Good for Jon Stewart to bust balls on his side. That's. I mean, I haven't even seen Bill Maher lately.
And then you
I'm
see
sure.
Bill Maher. Bill
What
Maher.
do you say?
No. Just watch him. He's getting tired of Democrats.
Really?
Of the outrage over Trump.
Well, look at Steve. What's Stephen A. Jackson? What's that dude on ESPN?
I don't know, man, about Bill Maher. I mean, that guy, he can kiss my ass. He keeps voting for him. I mean, he keeps voting.
Keep trying to work him
5
over.
minutes with that guy,
He was so
and I know
invested. What? I think some people's pride because they were so invested in Trump and in everybody else that now they're like, I still have to do it slowly. I got to change.
If Bill Maher ever says he's going to vote for a conservative, any conservative, I'll buy you a steak dinner. It won't happen. He can bitch all he wants, but
he said he would vote for Vivek. Vivek. Why did I say Vivek? Vivek. He said he would vote for Vivek.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, but Vivek didn't make it.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
and he knew Vivek wasn't going to make it. And this is like 2 seconds before Vivek said, "Hey, I'm voting for Trump." So I get it. I understand, but I mean the whole Trump, really the Trump madness. I mean, Maher's got a bite of that, and he just won't let it go. He just won't let it go. So I don't know if that's ever going to translate to anything, but it's good media, right, Salo? It's good media.
That's
right.
Yep. That's the game. I just feel that Trump is he's not attacking so much because all the people he's hiring or putting in his team.
He's just sitting back.
He's like, let these guys go after them. I'm not going to do that anymore because this is my last term. And he's like, I don't want to go out with that type of tone.
Yeah, my throat hurts. I'm not talking too much. Let everybody else talk.
I wanted to. You want to say something? Because I wanted to spend this time. I mean, we're going to wrap up here in a little while, but I wanted to spend some time. Are there any comments, questions? We never spend time answering questions.
Exactly what I was going to say.
I'm going to tell you, everybody is
Soulmates,
saying exactly. I think everybody's saying exactly what you guys are saying, and it's just
Any dissenters?
making our heads spin because
any
it's
dissenters?
so much. Yeah.
Where are we going wrong?
Well, I don't want. I'm not looking for people to support us if we. But I mean, I'm open to. I'm always open to learning, to changing an opinion. If you can give me evidence, objective facts, and you can do it with your passion. If you're, but then let's have a fidelity to truth, and so let's be loyal to truth, not your truth, my truth, the truth, and then make a decision.
Well, Ruthie keeps on saying, "Oh, there he goes talking about Fulano again." No, but people are saying, like Gene said, Riviera of the Middle East. I like it, vintage Trump. If you two can't share the toy, Trump's going to take it away. You know, everybody, I think, is affirming. Nobody's saying, "Oh, yeah, you're right." It's just affirming what is the obvious now.
But when it comes to Gaza and that conflict over there, I mean, it's so deep. I mean, you have children on the Palestinian side that are taught to want to harm Israeli kids. Now, and I'm not saying Israel is perfect. Okay, so this is not an apologetic point. I'm defending Israel on every point. I'm just saying that's really so complex because you have such a disdain that's deep-rooted and a hatred for another people. I mean, and they really just want their destruction. I'm not saying every single one over there. I can't say that for a fact. But as a whole, as a culture, it's very, very difficult. It's very difficult to have peace over there. And so what's the answer? I don't know. So Trump is saying, look, if no one's else come up with a good idea, so we need to get rid of Hamas. Because when you listen to the people, the apologists for the Gaza side, for the Palestinian side of the argument, and they're posed with this question. This is the flaw, and this is very telling. Will you say that it was evil and the Hamas committed terrorists or whatever? We don't want Hamas there. Will you renounce what they did to Israeli? It wasn't terrorists. They were defending themselves because they had been occupied. I mean, so you're going to justify it. Why can't you just say, look, they've been occupied this whole time. There's been terrible atrocities to get the Palestinian people, but this is not the answer. That's a different position to take. But that's not what I've never heard one apologist. I've never heard one apologist on that side repudiate. I mean, what Hamas did. They say they don't want Hamas, but they don't repudiate what they did, and they will not. I haven't heard it. If you ever heard it, Sal, tell me, correct me. Maybe somebody else has. Karen, there's no easy answer for this. So that's why I'm not offended by Trump. My only hesitation was I don't want our troops over there.
And neither does he.
I got that, but I mean, I'm just saying, and I'm sure he's thought it through. I hope. Play it out. I mean, I hope he's played it out, you know.
Carlos says, and it's funny, again, it's affirmation that we're all thinking the same thing. How pathetic the left loons are that they think Americans are going to turn on Trump because of Coronas and avocados.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I'm embarrassed for them. You know, Jon Stewart did it perfect when he just looks at I don't know the camera. Shut up. You only have to just make this face like, what are you talking about? So embarrassing. But they keep getting voted back in.
The whole avocado thing was missed on me. I'll be honest with you. I don't know where he was going. I don't get
the idea that we get avocados from Mexico. And
but it's missed on me because, again, the guy's such a dipshit. I mean, does he know that cartels, this is actually verified, cartels control the avocado business in Mexico? I mean...
No, he does not know.
This has been verified. So what are you saying, Chuck?
But these are the same people that thought coyotes were actual coyotes.
Saying, those are the guys.
Right.
I'm losing my pay.
Yeah,
he's losing his pay.
Yeah.
And I mean, and we've got, by the way, we don't really need avocados from Mexico. I know that's probably anti-biblical, but we have a great avocado business in California. I think we have it in Florida. We got opportunities for our own avocado raising.
George, the taste.
I love avocado. Let's wrap up. There's no more. I just want to leave. I want to start trying to leave some time for comments and even people that disagree. I mean, because sometimes you'll read the disagreeing or the
there's hardly any disagreeing today.
Well, I don't mind. I mean, the dissenting opinions until after, and I try to respond with as much time as I have to. But I think the vetting out of disagreement, especially on the after show, is helpful if we have time. And I think we vetted out these issues for this week during the show on the radio show. But if there's nothing else,
Gene
Karen,
just said Trump is plowing the road for the youngsters and leading us out of this oligarchy.
I'm going to call Vance Rubio 28. I'm calling it. I want it. That's what I want. Rubio's kicking ass.
Love it.
Rubio is
I got
kicking ass.
goosebumps.
That dude is. I've watching interviews.
I love how calm he is.
But he's just direct.
Sharp.
I mean, and he even shows his humor sometimes. I like when he laughs, when he busts balls, or when he teases a little bit.
His visit with Bukele, did you see it?
Oh,
When they were on
the whole thing.
they were just having a conversation. Beautiful.
Bukele's a badass.
Called himself the acting director of USAID, and then somebody says, "So you're actually doing?" As well, I delegated it to somebody else in the State Department. I mean, now it's easy. There's only 294 employees.
Even that is funny though. That
he's doing a wonderful job.
Good for him.
He's prepared. I don't know who's going to be in 28. It's definitely going to be Vance, which it should be. Vance, and my pick right now is Rubio, but let's see how it plays out in the next 4 years. We'll see what happens. But thank you guys for joining us. Appreciate you. Please share these shows with someone you think may benefit from them. I hope you benefit from them as much as we enjoy doing them. Have a very blessed weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Enjoy it safely. Stay out of trouble. But if you get in trouble, call me. All right. God bless you guys.